Welcome back to A Brief History of channel, and we're looking at the front pages of historical newspapers. We're currently going through the pages of World War II. We were looking at the Sunday Mirror on a Sunday. There was no Sunday Mirror, there was the Sunday Pictorial. So that is what we're going to look at. This paper cost 2p, so double the price of all the other days of the week. So it just says, our Premier gives Hitler last chance. If the German government should agree to withdraw their forces, then the British government would be willing to regard the position as being the same as it was before the German forces crossed the Polish frontier. Weakness? No. Chamberlain promises. So it still sort of feels like Britain's trying to avoid war. I think there's a lot of memories from the First World War where a lot of young people died for no apparent reason. Obviously, this is a total different kettle of fish, as we know, looking back in retrospect. But it's quite interesting to see the papers at the time and how their feelings are conveyed. So I'll read on. Lightning flashed over a blacked-out London and thunder rolled ominously, as Britain's cabinet ministers arrived at number 10 Downing Street just before midnight for a suddenly called cabinet meeting. So this is almost like pathetic fallacy where the weather's representing the feeling in the country. The meeting was at the climax of yesterday's mysteries and sensations. Above is printed a statement by the Premier and Lord Halifax, which bewildered the world. It followed puzzling last-minute diplomatic moves. The final result, whether it is to be war and how soon, will be announced by the Premier when the House of Commons reassembles today. Bewilderment started in the House of Commons at noon yesterday. It had been fully expected that Mr. Chamberlain would make a grave statement tantamount to a declaration of war on Germany. But Mr. Chamberlain was busy talking by telephone with French ministers. When at last they heard Mr. Chamberlain speak, socialists wondered whether Britain was weakening. Mr. Chamberlain promptly replied to the relief of the whole House, if the House thought for one moment that the statement I have made betrayed the slightest weakening in the attitude either of this government or the French government, I should be horrified. I share the distrust shown by the House of manoeuvres of this kind. I would have been very glad if it had been possible to say to the House now that the French government and ourselves had agreed to make the shortest possible limit to the time when action should be taken by both of us. This was a reply to Arthur Greenwood, who, to the cheers of both sides of the House and cries of "Speak for England," had said, the incessant strain must end sooner or later, and sooner the better. As MPs entered the House, newspaper posters announced bombing of women and children in Poland. At 7:15, Mr. Chamberlain left by car for the House of Commons, and he was followed by Lord Halifax. No reply had been received from Germany to our warning on Friday night, said Britain's leaders. It is possible that the delay is due to a proposal put forward by the Italian government that hostilities should ease, and that there should be immediately a conference between Great Britain, Germany, France, Poland and Italy. MPs gasped as Mr. Chamberlain made his statement. In terrible suspense, they had waited. Lights were dimmed, ARP blinds drawn. It was expected that the French cabinet would make its final decision in a few hours. As you can tell, these newspapers are quite old, so occasionally there's a crack in the paper. It's quite difficult to read a word. Anyway, if you'd like more of these videos, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll keep producing them.